Hi everybody, it's Dr. Rowe here. I hope you've had an amazing week. I wanted to talk to you about a subject I think is quite a sensitive one at the moment, and it's particularly if you're a parent and you're listening to this, you may relate to it, you may completely not relate to it at all and think, well actually no, nothing's going on in our family whatsoever. But I wanted to just show, I thought I've got a picture of family behind us. I think, and I want to put a little note up here, I'm just going to put some notes up on the screen actually for you. Just bear with me so that I can do this. Here we go. So I think that we are in unprecedented times at the moment. We have never had a set of circumstances like this. I mean, a whole nation locked down for huge periods of time, parents being forced to work from home, whilst also being forced under circumstances to educate their children, to manage a financial environment in the family where maybe one or two people are struggling to stay afloat, whether it's the business or the job, kids not being allowed out, that natural time when children want to express themselves, they want to explore, they want to get out into the world, they want to connect socially and learn those amazing social skills that are needed. As an adult, we need them, but of course we develop them at a young age. So the whole experience that children have, where it's understanding how to communicate with another person, experiencing the clash of personality types, being drawn to somebody else, being pushed away from somebody else, that whole human dynamic that we all have to evolve as human beings, which is a big part of our communication, of course. All of that has been completely fractured and broken down. And so the world at the moment, for many people, has been turned upside down from a communications perspective, from a connection perspective, from the dynamics of a family. Children are growing up seeing their parents maybe having clashes as well. I mean, it happens in most families at the moment because of the situation that's happened. Now, add to that, we are seeing dramatic increases in the number of self-harming children. So I think in teenage girls at the moment, we're looking at maybe 25% of girls, if I'm correct, are actually self-harming. I've personally been speaking to parents over this last 6 months who have got children that are doing everything from self-harming to not eating properly to not looking after themselves, and it's a very difficult time. So I just wanted to share a few thoughts, a few inspirational ideas, and this is not just things that I've come up with, but things I've learned and watched and maybe taken from some of the amazing people out there in the world at the moment that are working in this field. And as a parent as well, juggling and trying to understand how best to be the best parent we can be in this environment. And trust me, I'm working on that all the time. I've got two beautiful daughters, and I have to learn as daddy how to be in the best place. And sometimes it's not ideal because you come back and there's a lot of things going on, and they come to you and they've got their world and you've got your world, and what might seem important to us is no less important than the things that are going on in our children's world. So when they express something right now, I think we have to be really tuned into the fact that whatever they're feeling is definitely being magnified inside. And if we don't give them a place to vent that or express it, we might be actually corking that up to a point where it explodes further down the line. And the explosion can be anger, but it can also be shut down as well. So this is where young men and young girls, teenage children as well, particularly in that age group, if they can't express themselves, they'll lose themselves in social media and maybe become addicted there because they're not getting the expression of communication with the parents or somebody close to them, or they literally just shut off, isolate themselves and don't want to express themselves, which is another dangerous place to be, or they go into that world of self-harming. So I'm just sharing this message because I think it's an important one to be mindful of. So I've just put on the screen here, and I thought this would be useful for you to see. Let me move it down. Aside from the fact that I do believe it's an unprecedented time, maybe you can create an environment at home where it's a safe space for your children to express themselves. And you might go, yeah, we do that. I come back in, I say, is there anything you want to talk about? Well, depending on how your energy is and your dynamic and what they're seeing from you, or depending on where their mindset is at that moment in time, with children, it's all about patterns. It's all about rhythm. It's about feeling a rhythm to the day. Certainly that we've learned this with our children. And my eldest is 12 years of age, particularly that age between about sort of 4, 5, 6, right through to when they even get into their, getting towards teenage years. If there is a rhythm and a pattern in the family, that's where safe trust comes in. It's where they feel comfortable, they feel safe, they feel protected. Even if they might not say it, they know there's a certain ebb and flow and rhythm to the family. When you eat, how you sit down, how you communicate, the space around the dining table where there's no screens and nothing to watch. If children know that, then they know that this is the time I can be present and listen to mummy and daddy and express myself. But if it's not there, maybe it's a dining table or a place you all sit in a circle. I don't know. Everyone's got their own approach to it. But whatever it is, they kind of need to know that space is safe. If in that place they experience any criticism, any attack, any frustration expressed from a parent, they will retract back. They will not come to that place feeling comfortable, feeling as though they can express a concern or a fear or an objection or just a ranting, raving, because they know if they do that, they're going to get hit by some kind of pushback from the parent. So you're going to have to choose what that is. I don't really want to tell you what to do. Certainly one of the safest places is to sit around a table, clear any distractions. Digital things have to be out the way, phones, nothing. Literally, it's just faces and eyes and an environment where they know if I say what I say and I feel what I feel and I express it, I'm not going to be put down. I'm not going to be judged. I think that's a really important point. The other one is this, in that safe space, once they're sat down, allow them to express, but equally just during the course of a week, if they're having a bit of a let off of steam, it might be they just need to do that. And sometimes we can suppress that because we're in our own heads. I've got my phone, yeah, but I've got to take this phone call. And I know I fall into this sometimes where something's happening and I'm like, shit, which is the most important? And that's where it may be important to, for example, if you work from home, having a room where you do your work and the phone stays there as opposed to floating around with you. I have an office, so when I go home, sometimes I have to be mindful that if I've got my phone in my hand, I get a phone call. Have I brought the office home or not? And the best will in the world, sometimes we forget to do that. And then what message do we send to our kids? So if there's a structure and geographically around the house, this is where I work, I don't work here. Again, thoughts for you to consider. Giving your children an opportunity to express themselves. And the last thing I put on the screen there is having a day out. And what does that mean? So it might be, I know at the moment because of lockdown, you can't physically have the days out too far away, but giving your child or your children, and individually ideally as opposed together, an opportunity for private time with you. So one parent takes the other child away, has an hour, 2 hours, ideally a real complete locked out day. It's like a day out to do what you want. What do you want to do? You want to go climb a tree? You want to go ape? You want to go canoeing? You want to go for a day out or just eat and have ice creams? Go look at clothes? What is that day? And allow them to paint the picture and to be about them choosing it so that you're providing something for them, a safe space where they can talk. And you know what? When they relax there, that's when they may let their guard down and feel free to express. So I think that's also definitely worth considering as well. And those of you that haven't watched it, we did an amazing podcast with a lady called Kim McCabe. If you go to www.seekardo.com/podcast and you have a look there, and go and look up the one where we interviewed Kim McCabe. And it was all about rite of passage for young girls, but it was also broader to parents as well. Some fantastic nuggets in there. Okay, so that's my message. Hopefully it's been useful to you. And take some time to connect back with your kids because they really need us to be in that space right now. Our children are feeling very vulnerable, a little bit confused over what's happening in the world, and the rules are changing all the time. And this beautiful period, for many of them, will be tainted by this. So if we can create a new image, a new sense of belief, a new meaning to this experience for our kids, it might change the way they look back at this time. Food for thought.